Gardner and 015 Thomas Mazera. Some new faces, new cars is Alan Jones in the 35 car, Jimmy Richards there, the winner of the Peter Jackson Dash, Neil Crompton in the 7 car, Brocky back in 10, and we're about set to go now. Fans cheering in the grandstand. Who's going to separate the forwards? It will be Larry Perkins. The old Bathurst wet weather trick down the outside in the Castrol machine. The crowd erupts as the Falcon is split by a couple of Commodores, with Thomas Mazera trying to get into the action and the Rainmaster Jim Richards in there as well. Bow doesn't want to give this one up, but he gets sideways.
He's gone.
Thomas has done the launch, ex-Lakeside, heading downhill, but he doesn't catch the guardrail. Back down through the gears. He's out there having fun trying to work out which direction the track went in.
You better be careful, he'll stall it.
Trying to get your power, a bit of traction on that greasy grass. Anyway, this is where the action is. Larry Perkins, an absolutely lightning start off the grid. Leads the first of the Shell Falcons through the spray, and look at the amount of rain there. Is that Brocky on the way through? Yeah, Peter Brock make a good start from 10th position too. As they come up for the first time, Bow has a good look down the inside. Wipers working hard, spray pouring off the tyres, and Larry will lead them down toward Dandenong Road for the first time. And look at the amount of water on the track, Alan.
Unreal, mate. It is really coming down. There's no one out there with the intermediates or groove slicks today. This is full rain tyres.
And the thing about Bathurst, the difference being that with the hills at Bathurst and at least somewhere where the water can run off, this is basically flat here and it's just sitting here all day long.
A lot of puddles there. Larry understeered into that corner. His left front was locked up, hit a puddle, but fending off Bow here at the moment. John had a incident this morning in practice, landed up in the sand.
Just wait for the reaction of the crowd as Larry Perkins comes across the line. Oh, they love a battle here between a Ford and a Commodore. They're all to their feet as Perkins across the straight leads the first lap. Bow in second. Wayne Gardner, a good run there up into third, followed by Jimmy Richards. Then it's Peter Brock, who's probably the best starter of the lot out of position number 10.
Well, Commodore would not seem to be too bad a package to hear the Peter Jackson Dash, and indeed the warm-up was anything to go by. Larry Perkins, 4th fastest this morning in the wet. Thomas Mazera, Jim Richards, both fastest, and Johnny Bow was only 3rd fastest this morning. So it looks like the Commodores may have turned the tables in the wet. And you look at the amount of wing that Larry Perkins running on the back of this car. He's got it right up steep. Look at the angle there.
He's pushing all he can get, all the air he can push down to get some grip onto the rear of that car. John Bow just taking, I think, discretion the better part of valor.
There's Claude Georgie from Western Australia, who bought one of the Glen Seaton cars. He's had a little spin down there. That's not too hard. And Thomas Mazera has rejoined the field and runs in 20th position at the tail. As we watch this fascinating scrap between Larry Perkins and John Bow.
Good shot there of the new aero packs on both cars. The front air dam on the Commodore almost looks a bit like an Aston Martin to me, Mark. She's got a very distinctive opening there for radiator cooling. John Bow still just shadowing Larry, not taking any chances. There's too many puddles on the track, and not the place to be getting too cozy with a car in front of you.
The Petunia's showing up there as we went past the start-finishing line, full tilt, down to the left-hander, and just look at the water being squeegeed out from the tyres of the front running 2 cars.
Have a look at the speed of the windscreen wiper on the Shell car, and it is really cranking that screen clean. Almost twice as fast as Larry's.
Doesn't seem to matter whether it's dry or wet at Sandown. This has really proven to be a Dunlop circuit, as it has for a number of times. The leading 3 cars on Dunlops here. Jimmy Richards in 4th, the first of the Yokohama cars. Brock now up to 5th on the Bridgestone shod Commodore. So a good mix of tyres in here too, and boy, they're working hard trying to squelch this water out of the way.
Well, Dunlop are under a lot of pressure with their tyre supply this year. The earthquake in Kobe was downtown Dunlop City, and really later in the year supplies for the Dunlop teams are going to be quite critical.
Well, this is the time to try and make a few moves, I guess, while they've got a few stocks left. There's Wayne Gardner, good start from Wayne, running very strongly in the new Coca-Cola VR, and Jimmy Richards showing that great form he's always shown in wet weather in 4th position. Larry leads Bow back onto the straight. This great dice. These 2 cars look very evenly matched at the moment, Alan.
They certainly do, and 2 fellows that aren't shy at Sandown. I think John Bow always excels at Sandown. Larry's always liked it. Great many miles. I hate to think how many laps Larry's got around this place. But John Bow just casing the situation at the moment. He knows he's got a real competitor in front of him. He's not...
Whoa! it's very sideways, and he's going into the sand, is he?
He's gone.
He's on the grass still. Can he keep it going? Oh, keep going, John. Car slipped by, but he's managed. Looks like the engine's still going. He's on the ripple strip now.
It's good. Well, it's very critical corner. It's critical in the dry. In the wet, you can imagine the judgment factor. He's following Larry. He thinks, well, he can do it, I can do it, but just slightly different car balance. And naturally, two different types of cars, two different teams. The cars aren't going to be the same at all. But Larry took a real brave move through there. John tried to follow, and he couldn't do it.
Very, very long lose, and you can see he almost held it.
He fought it. He tried hard.
Yeah. But look at this situation now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holden 5. Holden Commodores at the front. Johnson the first. The Falcons at 6. And this will be a turn up for the books. The last Holden win in Australian touring car racing was at Wanneroo last year. They've had a real missing streak right through the endurance races.
Bit of a drought. No drought here today with the rain down.
Actually, how has this played into the hands of Mark Skaife, who was missing from action today after that practice wreck at Eastern Creek? Handed the car over to Jimmy Richards and will sit out this one. He'll come back at Sevens Place, but it really needed for Mark Skaife, for a couple of these guys to jumble up the placings here today. You would have thought that John Bowe may have gone through the entire meeting unbeaten, including the dash after quick time yesterday. But how things can change. And now we have Larry Perkins up leading this one, and the battle for second is in fact between Wayne Gardner's Coca-Cola Commodore and the Winfield Commodore with Jimmy Richards carrying the number 2.
Richards is definitely trying. You can see him, that's not out of control. He's powering the car into that oversteer slide, and to be doing that in these conditions is a fairly remarkable move.
John Bowe back to 9th, and Peter Brock has moved to 4th from starting out of 10. And there's Brocky there, with Dick Johnson behind him.
They're not out of it, Mike. The slightest misdemeanor by any of these fellas in front, and they'll freight train themselves straight into the caboose.
So the gap the last time across the start-finish line between Perkins and Gardner in second place, just over 4 seconds. So let's see if he can maintain that gap under these conditions.
Here's Brocky down through the S's. It's hairy enough through here in the dry, but to be picking the balance necessary to keep these things on track. 1,300 kilos. They are heavy cars. These are no Volkswagens. And believe me, these fellas are using every ounce of energy, skill, and patience that they know to control these cars in these kind of conditions.
Peter's been really struggling all weekend. A very unruly sort of chassis, the 05 Commodore. This is, in fact, the car he crashed at Bathurst, now been reskinned as a VR. But he was saying yesterday that the setup required chassis-wise is so different between this and the older car of Thomas's, mainly because this car is so much stiffer. And he's really having quite a trouble dialing the car in the way he likes it. There's Dickie Johnson. Car 17 as he comes across the start-finish line in 5th position. So it's 4 Commodores and a Falcon. And right behind Johnson's Glenn Seaton.
Well, yesterday's performance by both Dick and John, you would have thought that it was going to be a shell cakewalk here today, but certainly the rain brings the best out in every team there. Whoa. Dick sliding it around. None of these fellas are very shy about throwing these cars around.
Well, if you saw at Bathurst, we take Dunlop race camera with Dick, because he just takes a little glance up in the rear-view mirror. See if Seaton's lurking in the spray there, but there's not a lot of vision out of the front of these cars.
Across the line again, Larry Perkins starting to stretch that lead just a little over Wayne Gardner and Jimmy Richards. Brock up to 4th, Johnson is 5th, Seaton is 6th, followed by Crompton in 7th, Jones is 8th, Bowe is 9th, Tony Longhurst is 10th. That's the top 10 as they work heat number 1 of the opening round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship at Sandown. It could be excused for believing you're watching a race in the UK this afternoon. This is summer in Australia.
We might be in the Netherlands with one of the dikes broken. It is certainly tough going here.
Look at this, Johnny Bowe coming charging back through the field. He's just taken Crompton. He was 8th, and that moves him up to 7th position. So John on a recovery drive after losing it at turn 1 in the spray. And he'll be kicking himself. He's been so pumped this weekend. He really can see this is his championship year. He's got a dynamite package. And once again, his season has started off badly as it did last year at Sandown.